If you're a huge fan of ombres, then this one's going to be for you because we are going to combine two ombre styles. What's up, nail crew? It's Nicole, your fellow nail obsessed DIYer. Today I am doing this super fun double ombre where you're going to use two solids for the main part of the ombre and then a vertical ombre with a chunky glitter along the side. It is so fun. I have been wanting to do this design for such a long time, and when I saw these gorgeous colors from CN Designer, I absolutely knew I had to use them to do this super fun ombre. This is my first collab with CN, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm using here. Since it's the first time I've ever used her liquids, and I've only ever used the powders one other time. The powder, the last time I used it, was really beautiful, so I was super excited to try them again. Now, if I sound a little bit funny during this voiceover, it is because this morning I literally threw out my back, okay? And I was bending over to get dressed, and it's like embarrassing. I was literally bending over to like pull up my pants and I threw out my back. So I'm not in my usual spot to do the voiceover. So if it sounds funny, please forgive me. Okay, we're still gonna have a lot of fun doing this mani, just from a little bit different of an angle because I can't move. So anyways, now we're gonna jump in. I first put peel base down over my entire nail. I've never used the CM peel base, but I went about it how I normally do with peel bases, where I don't go over my entire nail. I just go over a majority of the nail and like stay away from my edges and then do a thin layer because I wanted this mani to last a decent amount of time. I knew the two manis that I did this night that I did my nails, I knew I was gonna love them. So when I know like for sure I want to wear mani for a while, I typically tend to go lighter on the peel base. Then once the peel base dries, you want to apply a full layer of dip base over your entire nail. Once that first layer of dip base dries, that's over the peel base, then you can go in and do your mani like normal. Now, I'm doing an ombre and I wanted the white to be up at the top, at the tip of my nail and like really stand out. So I decided to start the ombre with the white. And since I'm filming, I had to kind of angle my hand and do the tapping like to the side. If you're not comfortable doing the tapping sideways like I am, you can really finagle your finger to be whatever way feels comfortable. But basically what you want to do is you want to pour the powder into some kind of like dip cup or cupcake liner and tap it over your nail. So normally when I do an ombre, I rotate back and forth between colors. Like I'll start with the lighter one first or the darker one first. But for this, because I really wanted the white to pop, since I'm using a pink and then a really bright chunky glitter with it, I decided to go with doing the white first on both layers of the ombre, knowing that then I would go in and do a little bit of scrubbing with the pink. So anytime I do an ombre, I tend to do a combination of tapping and scrubbing. I found that I don't do great if I only tap or if I only scrub. So I started doing this combination, I want to say like maybe like a year and a half ago. I don't know, time kind of runs together at this point for how long I've been doing my nails. And doing this combination of tapping and scrubbing really allows me to get the best blend of colors when I'm doing an ombre. I've done the tap scrub method with 2 colors, and I've even done it with 3, and it works well for all of them because you use the tapping to get into like the main area that you want it. So on the first layer of the white that I applied to the top, the white's called Light Up the Night and it does glow. The pink is called Smitten that I'm using. Then the glitter is called Dreamsicle. So when I did the first tapping of the white color, I made sure that I just had it at the very tip. And then on the second layer, I tapped the white down a little bit further so it could kind of blend better. Typically, you'd switch colors. You'd switch the order of the colors you did for the second layer of tapping because it gives you a better true ombre and a better blend. It gives you more of that like seamless ombre look. But I really wanted that white to stick out, and I knew that I could scrub the pink in. Since the white is, obviously so stark, I was able to scrub the pink in without a problem. And I even like scrubbed a little bit of the white in just to make sure that it was really sticking out because I wanted that ombre to pop. Now, if you didn't notice on the second layer of the ombre, I did not apply my dip base over my entire nail. I left a little bit of space on the one side of my nail so that when I applied the chunky glitter, it would have more room to sit. This is something that I do anytime I'm using chunky glitter. I was a little bit nervous doing this with, the double ombre look that I'm doing because I've never tried that before, but I thought, you know what? This works for me when I'm doing an ombre to only do the second layer like part of the way over my nail. This way it gives me enough space for the chunky glitter that my nails don't end up being super thick. And let me tell you, you're going to see here in a little bit, once I get to that ombre part, it worked so well. So if you want to do this double ombre, I would highly recommend doing the first layer over your entire nail, and then the second layer of the ombre part of the solid colors, you only want to do it about just over halfway on your nail so that chunky glitter has more room to lay, and then your nails don't have to be so thick. Once I finished with just the solid ombre part, then I went in and used the chunky glitter. This glitter was so fun. Clearly, I am like channeling spring to come at ASAP. I'm so over the winter. So as soon as I saw this color, I was like, yes, yes. Let me channel some bright colors, some spring. And anytime I'm doing a chunky glitter, I like to pour it into a dip cup and then lay my nail flat into it. On the first dip, I try not to pick up too many of the chunky glitter pieces. You saw on my thumb that I picked up a decent amount of chunky glitters. Normally, I actually don't even try to pick up that many because I like most of the chunky glitter placement to come on my second dip. But this glitter was so packed full of all the little glitter pieces that they were like ready to jump right on my nail, even at the first dip. So my ring finger and my pointer finger, I did a little bit better of a job not picking up the chunky glitter pieces. I made sure I didn't shake the dip cup up. Then on the second dip, I could really shake up the glitters so that they came up to the top, and then lay my nail right into there so I could get all those gorgeous chunky glitter pieces up at the top. Then once you get all the chunky glitter pieces on for like your first pass of the second dip, you can go back in and hand place any that you need to. I use the pointy nail cleanup tool to kind of move the glitters around before the dip base dried to make sure that like the main ones were where I wanted them before I went through and added any extra. And the tool that I'm using on the other side of it, it also has a little, it's like a little silicone part that you can pick up glitters. So I did like a combination of the two, using the two of those to really move the glitters to where I want to be. And anytime that you need more glitters to be on your nail, you just add a little extra dip base and then pick up glitter and add it right to where you want it. And now we get to work on this super fun double ombre part. Okay, this is the secret to make it a lot easier. And I had a feeling this was gonna work because I've done it when I do regular vertical ombres that aren't like this double ombre one. You apply your dip base to a majority of the nail, but like leave a little bit on the side that you're not ombreing on. Leave that without any dip base so you don't overdo the ombre. And then very carefully lay your nail to the side on it. So you saw me put the left side of my nail into the glitter, and that's how I picked up a chunk of the glitter, and then I could just do some tapping. It is so much easier when you do that for vertical ombres because you get like that main base of glitter down on your nail, and then you can just do a little tapping, do some nail placement of the glitters, and that's it. That is how you make a chunky glitter so much easier to ombre. That's my secret that I've been doing for chunky glitter vertical ombres for a while, and it works basically every time. So when I find something that works really well, I'm gonna keep doing it, and I'm definitely gonna share it with everybody so that you can do these things as easy as possible too. Anytime I'm using chunky glitter, I put a piece of tape on one of the fingers of my hand that I'm using to apply the dip base with, and then you just press the chunky glitters down so that they start to lay nice from the start. That's something that also really helps me when I'm working with chunky glitters, is to press them down. And you don't want to press them down with just your bare fingers because then you're going to get dip base and glitter stuck all over your skin. So if you put a piece of either washi tape, masking tape, painter's tape, something like that, the glitters don't really stick much to them, and you can press down your chunky glitter really nicely onto your nail. I did the same thing with my pointer finger. I applied the dip base to the left side of my nail and just left a little bit of the right side open. And then I laid the left side of my nail into the chunky glitter. Then I poured some of the chunky glitter onto a little flexible plate that I have. You can use like a nail art palette, something like that. I like these flexible plates because then you can just pour the dip right back into your jar and not waste any. Then you go through and you just place a couple more of the chunky glitter pieces to give it that really ombre falling glitter effect. It is that easy to do the chunky glitter double ombre. Okay, I thought when I first did it, I was like, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna get this to work just as nicely? But it's really just a matter of like, you know, combining the two methods that you do for a regular ombre and then a chunky glitter vertical ombre. Anytime I'm working with any kind of dip powder, I always like to cover with a clear dip powder. And I have to admit, I am super particular about my clear dip powders, and Cien's was fabulous. The clear dip powder called 2020, it is really, really clear. I made sure that I brushed off the excess. Then I went through and I activated all of my nails. The activator hardened the nails pretty quickly. It was maybe like a minute or two. And I finished my other hand anyways before I went back. I always finish my right hand before I go back through and do the filing and buffing. Just because, like, out of habit, it's really nice to know that both hands are going to be totally dry from the activator before I go and file and shape. And I first cleaned up some of my shaping before I went through, and then did buffing just so that my nails would be nice and smooth. And the clear really got into all the little nooks and crannies, which I absolutely love when the clear like really gets in there, so that when you go to file, buff, and shape, that it's so nice and smooth. So I like to pour over a ton of clear when I'm doing it. Once you finish with all your buffing and shaping, then you want to take isopropyl alcohol and really clean off your nails well. This is going to make sure that you don't leave any dust. Luckily, I had instruction cards that came with the liquids. I always make sure that I read the instruction cards a bunch of times before I apply my top coat, because I've learned that pretty much every brand of dip liquids, their top coating is a little bit different. So with the Cien ones, after you file and shape and do all that, I wipe your nails again with alcohol. Then you activate and let that sit for 1 minute. So I literally looked at the timer on my phone, and as soon as it hit 60 seconds, I went in with 2 to 3 quick strokes of the top coat, floated over. My thumbnail is big, so it's more like 4 strokes, and I make sure I cap my edges. Then after you get through the first layer, then you want to wait 30 seconds and do your second layer of top coat. Out of habit, I floated that layer of top coat as well, the second one, and it worked really well, but my nails were crazy shiny. So overall, I absolutely love these liquids. They're a little bit fast drying, so I had to keep remembering that. I'm used to a little bit more slower drying. So the next time I use them, I'm definitely going to remember, okay, you need to work a little faster than you're used to, Nicole. But if you're still struggling with basic dip nails and you're not ready for ombre yet, make sure you check out this next tutorial and I will help you with your basic dip mayonnaise. Thanks for joining me today, nail crew.